the Starting Five Vlog edition. Greetings, Dino Nation blog and YouTube and Raptor Space and whoever might happen to be watching this. The Toronto Raptors get a win, which they absolutely needed against the Detroit Pistons, 111 to 97. And it was an impressive win, no doubt. Amir Johnson played very well in this basketball game, and you got to see what Amir can do when he doesn't get into foul trouble, which was pretty scary playing against his old team. That was impressive to say the least. Jose Calderon had a nice night after a really bad one versus the Bulls in a game that mattered more, and other good performances as well. DeMar DeRozan back in double digits coming off the bench. Jarrett Jack continuing to play well in his role off the bench, whether you like it or not. That's another question. But Jack has played well, regardless of starting or coming off the bench, has done a nice job. And Andrea Bargnani, what do you know? Bargnani with 33 points, and he's owned the Pistons this year. And if you missed it, although I don't know how you could have after the broadcast tonight, Charlie V was on Twitter and actually guaranteed a win in this game, which didn't go out so well for his Pistons, and pretty much the contract for Charlie V hasn't gone so well for the Pistons, as well as that of Ben Gordon. It really hasn't worked well for Detroit, and they have had an awful, awful year. The Raptors sweep the Pistons in the season series. When's the last time you've been able to say that? And win 2 games in Detroit. I don't even know when the last time that happened as well. But that being said, it's hard to get terribly excited or be happy given what happened versus Chicago, the game I was at covering at the ACC. The Raptors didn't show up for that game. The Bulls absolutely were the better team and came out on top in that game and deserved it, quite frankly. They came out with more urgency, with more energy, and the Raptors just played horrible defense in that basketball game. So it leaves the Raptors in a case where they don't control their own destiny, and they're heavily dependent on the Boston Celtics and the Charlotte Bobcats to get a win. Now, the Celtics will have something to play for in a sense that the Atlanta Hawks, they still technically could catch them for third place, which would be big for the Celtics in the sense of they may be able to avoid playing Cleveland in the second round, assuming that Cleveland were to beat either the Raptors or the Bulls who get in, which I'm pretty sure most people think that will happen. So that's a big deal for the Celtics. And then you have the fact that they will also maybe get a chance to play the Milwaukee Bucks, who are a team that is injured without Andrew Bogut. That would be a little bit easier than the prospects of, say, going up against the Miami. That would be a much tougher matchup for the Celtics and a tougher series, I think. So for the Raptors, they can only win. That's their only option. I mean, if they get wins, which they did tonight over the Pistons and the Knicks, it really comes down to what the Bulls do in their final 2 games. And if the Bulls win out, the Bulls get in the playoffs. If they don't, and the Raptors are able to get 2 victories, then the Raptors will get in. But this season has been a season of just unexpected things. It's why you watch sports, but it's been a lot of the bad stuff of why you watch sports with this Raptor team this season. Everyone expected big things from Hedo Turkoglu. We haven't seen them. Just a lot of the things that you expected to happen haven't happened this year. One of the nice things in that has been the play of Sonny Weems and how he's played. But now Sonny Weems goes down injured late in that ball game when it was pretty much decided, and yet another injury to add to the list of Antoine Wright and Chris Bosh, and it just goes on and on for the Toronto Raptors. In some respects, you feel sorry for them for all the injuries they've had down the stretch here, making it very difficult for them to get in the playoffs. But on the other hand, the Raptors were put in this situation by how they played earlier in the season, and even with the Bosh injury and with the Wright injury and with Weems' injury now, they wouldn't have been in the position they're in if they had won games that they were supposed to win, like they did tonight versus the Pistons. A lot of those games slipped away for the Toronto Raptors, and that's why their destiny is what it is, and why their destiny, as I wrote today, well, I guess it'll be yesterday by the time you see this, but as I wrote, it's out of their hands and it's in someone else's hands. And in pro sports, that's never what you want. And the Raptors had so many chances to keep destiny in their own hands, and they've let them slip away. And now you got to watch and cheer for the Boston Celtics, which is not a prospect that most Raptor fans, I'm sure, expected to be doing. But that's what you'll be doing, and the Charlotte Bobcats too, if the Raptors are going to make the postseason and go against LeBron James. That's your prize if all this works out. You have to figure out a way to beat LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, which will be no easy task for either of these basketball teams because the Cavs are on a roll and kind of resting up. LeBron James probably not going to play the rest of the year and just waiting for that first round to begin and their march to the finals because that is the goal in Cleveland. Finals or bust. In fact, not even finals. Championship or bust in Cleveland. But if you get there, you get there, and you'll have a chance. But the Toronto Raptors have made this a very dicey proposition. Full marks for the way they played tonight. But I'm not ready to start a parade either. I think the Raptors really could have made this a lot easier so many times, and it's frustrating to watch, and it's frustrating to write about, and it's frustrating to talk about. And that's the bottom line of things. And this has been a season where you never know what's going to happen. So I'm not going to say they're going to get in or they're not going to get in because every time I've thought something, it hadn't happened. So just watch like everybody else and see what does happen. That is it for this vlog. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. This has been a D&B production. Down Nation Blog is part of the SCORE Sports Federation. And also check out the Round Ball Review with Joey G and JB Superstar.